To finally meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Thanks for coming in. Just want to start off by saying that Elle is a great student. She's always #1 to volunteer to answer any questions, and she's always offering to help me. She's a very positive and outgoing child, and I really enjoy having her in my class. I called you in today because I wanted to go over some assessments that I had with her. We had some assessments in vocabulary, comprehension, phonics, and fluency. So for the comprehension, we just went ahead and looked at how she's understanding words and stories that she's reading. For vocabulary, we're just going through and looking at words that are at different grade levels and which ones she's able to understand and read and which ones she isn't. And then for phonics and phonemic awareness, we're just testing to see, for example, her rhyming skills, deletion of sounds, beginning of sounds, things like that. And then for fluency, we were just testing her to see how she is as a reader. So some of the things that she did well in these tests, she did really good at comprehension as long as the material was at her level. You can also see her comprehension skills are really well, again, when it's at her level, not only from the reading but also in this map. So I read a story with her, and she was able to fill out this story map. Lastly, she did really, really well on the phonological and phonemic awareness assessment. This assessment is broken up into several different compartments. She did very well in all of the compartments. There's a rhyming assessment that just kind of assesses how well she is with her rhyming skills. So for an example, they asked if the word bag and bun rhymed, and she said no. Went through like that. She did very well in all of them. Also identifying initial sounds. So we were able to ask her if two words had the same sound, and if they did, she would say yes, and if they didn't, she would say no. And she did very well on that. Another section of this test that she did really well on was the blending words. Breaking a word up into two different sounds and asking her what those two sounds create as a word. So for example, k and app, she was able to say that the word is cap. And then phonemic segmentation she did really well on as well, just kind of chopping the word up into its sounds. So for example, pig, she would say p, g. And then the last two portions of this test that she also did very well on was the phoneme manipulation, which is where you just kind of sound out a word, and so if I were to say bat, she would need to say mat for it to rhyme. So if I was saying a word and she ended up saying a word that sound very similar to it, then she got it correct. And then for phoneme deletion, she only struggled with one on here. So what she was asked to do was pronounce the word without the first initial sound. So for win, she needed to say n. The word that she struggled with was pup. She needed to say up, and she said umped. So those are the areas that she did really well in these assessments. So now I wanted to go into you with the ones that she really struggled with and got frustration level on, and the ones I really want to work with her on. The first one would be spelling. So as you can see here, gave her a generic spelling test. It increased in difficulty as the words went on. There were 25 words in total, and she got 3 of them correct. So I've really been focusing on spelling with her and working with her on that. And then also she was struggling with the pronunciation of multisyllabic words. So we gave her a little nonsense word test, and she did very well in all of the areas except for the multisyllabic. And I've noticed that when she reads as well, she'll come across a word that is multisyllabic and she can't break it up and make meaning of it when it's too big for her. So that's another area that I wanted to focus on. And then again, showing you her fluency assessment just kind of shows that she is, again, at a 2nd grade level. So another area that I want to work with her on is her overall reading level.
What are you doing in class to help her with these 3 areas?
Well, I'm glad you asked that. So to work on her with spelling, I am doing these spelling games with her.
So what are these spelling games?
The spelling games are actually a fun interactive computer program. There is times in class where there's free time. Allow her to pull out her laptop and get on this game. Basically what it is, it's a game that it's kind of like turns spelling into a competition. So she needs to spell the words correctly in order to get to the next level. And she needs to do it in a timely manner. And this helps her with spelling because it randomly generates words that are at her level that she can work with. And then I can also actually go in and put in my own spelling list that she can work on. So it just kind of helps her with that repetition of recognizing those words and their spelling in a more fun way that's more engaging and interesting for her. Another thing that I have been doing in class to help her with her comprehension actually is we've been doing word maps. So before I give her a story, I'll have her go through and highlight any words that she doesn't understand. So then we'll create a graphic organizer of the word, its definition, and then I have her do a little sketch of the word. Writing the word just gets her comfortable with the word itself. Writing the definition gets her comfortable with what that word means. And then I have her do a little sketch because it kind of makes the word more personal to her. And then lastly, I'm doing repeat reading with her. So what that is we'll read a story in class, and then it'll be individually, and then I'll play the tape reading of the same story over the little radio that I have in class for all the students to hear. And then again, with her separately during reading time, I will pull her and we will reread the story again together. So these repeat readings are comfortable with recognizing those high frequency words that she's going to need to be able to be a successful reader independently. So there's a couple of strategies that I've been implementing in the class to help her with those areas.
What can I do at home to help her?
Oh, I'm glad you asked that. So I was going to ask you, do you read to Elle at home?
Yeah.
What do you read to her?
The Elephant and Piggy, but that's about it. She doesn't show much interest in other books.
I was afraid you would say that. We did I kind of did like a little interview with her on her reading. I asked her, what stories are you interested in? What genres do you like? What's your favorite author? Who are your favorite books? And again, like you just said, everything that she talked about was Elephant and Piggy, and that's okay. However, Elephant Piggy is at a first grade level. So though it is okay to read them to her sometimes because I know she really enjoys those books, I think it would really benefit her to read some third grade material as well as trying to read other genres with her. Though she might think that she's not interested in it, hearing her parent be interested in it and reading it to her might get her interested in it. So it's just, I think reading the third grade level will not only get her the vocabulary exposure that she's needing to be at the level that she is now, and then, like I said, reading her those different genres that she's not comfortable with might make her interested in them, just to expand her vocabulary and her reading selections and preferences at the same time. You also could do, for her spelling, I think it would be a great idea if you guys created maybe like a flashcard game and you had the words written on one side, because I know she does really well with the spelling game that I let her play on the computer. And then also, I was going to ask if you could possibly do maybe like an at-home book club. I think would really benefit her. So maybe you two can go to a Barnes & Nobles and pick out a book that she's interested in, but with your guidance to try to make it at her level that she needs to be at. And then you guys could read that book together. You can have assigned chapters where you read it to her, and then there's other chapters where you guys can read it independently. But I think having that book club atmosphere where you come back and talk about what you've read in that chapter or what you read in that story as a whole, if you want to just do an entire short story, I think coming back and talking about what's going on in the story and what happened will really help with her comprehension.
What books can I buy her?
I would suggest, I know in class we do a lot of Magic Treehouse books. We also do a lot of Junie B. Jones and a lot of the Captain Underpants, things like that. I would just recommend going to your local bookstore and finding any of the short chapter books. Did you have any more questions for me?
Nope.
Alright, I just wanted to let you know that with your help, I think together that we can support her and that she will become a great reader and writer someday. And I look forward to watching her grow and progress in my class this year. Thanks for coming in.